Hey, welcome to the podcast, Jeff.
Hey, Asha, thank you so much.
It's been a minute since we were able to link up
It truly has, but I'm glad you're patient with me and our schedule ended up working out today.
for sure. For anyone who doesn't know you, who do you say you are?
I I always like to identify myself as a husband, only because I've been married 28 years. So I feel like I hold that title. I can be husband. Actually, I can't hear you. I just lost your audio.
Oh, that's right, because I muted myself for a minute.
Oh, okay.
I needed to remember that I pinned the videos to start, but let me start again and I'll ask you who.
Okay.
Okay, I may have missed it, and I think the background was kind of came in, but who do you say you are?
I am a driven person. I am a go-getter. I am a person that works really well under stress. I am a man that's still trying to find the answers to life. I am a husband. I guess now I'm an interior designer, a business owner. But mostly, I am after 50, I can definitely say I am more patient.
Wow. Wait, you said after 50, it's like
Yeah,
I guess the saying is really true. Black doesn't crack. You don't look 50. You almost look
I,
like you're 23.
I appreciate it. That's water. It's all water. I drink a lot of water and I try to exercise as much as I can.
Nice. I guess would you say it's gotten easier as you've gotten older to maintain yourself and to continue taking better care?
Yes, because I mean, you know your health. Um, I had a physical 2 days ago, and my doctor pointed out everything about my age. And when you hear the all the you hear the results,
Mhm.
you know, you tend to be mindful of, as far as what you eat, making sure you get the proper exercise, and making sure you take better care of yourself because you are closer to death. so
Mhm.
so you just want to make sure you're maintaining your life, well,
Yeah,
the remaining years that you have left.
gotcha. That makes sense. And like you mentioned, you're 50 now, or you're going to be 50. Like I know you're celebrating both the birthday and anniversary.
Yes, I appreciate it. So I just celebrated 28 years of marriage on July the 2nd.
Mm.
So I will be 51 on July the 27th. So in the next few days, this upcoming Thursday.
Man. So I guess as you look back on it, like what are some of the things you think back on, or have you allowed yourself to start reflecting like that since you're kind of crossing over the 50-year mark? You had a year of being 50 years old. Like, was it all everyone said it would be, or
Um, yes and no. I would say yes because I am wiser.
Mhm.
I tend to pay attention to my days now. I don't take anything for granted anymore. And the stuff that meant so much to me as far as materialistic things, I really don't care about. Or even, I mean, my birthday's coming up. Like, I'm just grateful to be alive, but it's not like I'm planning a celebration or anything. The
Yeah.
no part is as soon as you turn 50, you're extremely blind.
Mhm.
I mean, the day you turn 50, you go blind. I've heard stories about it. It is true. So I definitely need glasses right now. Like I'm squinting looking at my camera.
So you're gonna start wearing the bifocals or like the reading glasses?
Exactly. Exactly.
Gotcha. Well, I can't make fun. I've been wearing glasses since fourth grade, so I know a little bit about what that's like. But
Yeah.
uh,
Hey, I appreciate the glasses right now because without the glasses I can't see.
gotcha. So what's it? Take me back a little bit. What was life like for you growing up?
Life was not bad. I grew up in Nassau, Bahamas. My parents are from Haiti. They migrated to the Bahamas, where they had five of us. I mean, we grew up poor, um, and being poor taught me a lot. It taught me how to survive. It taught me how to not take anything for granted. What's crazy is that I still remember my childhood. Like we live in the countryside in the Bahamas, and
Mhm.
my mom would travel to Florida to get to buy like clothing and items, merchandise to bring back to the Bahamas, and she would sell it.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time she found like this. It was a it was a television that was it was battery operated television, and because we didn't have electricity, it was such a big deal just to have this TV in the house.
Mhm.
And man, I remember like, man, just having this TV, being able to watch cartoons, it was such a great experience just to be able to just watch American Channel. So, um, but those lessons in life made me who I am. It was a lot of quality time with my family. It wasn't like we had the entertainment such as the social media.
Mhm.
So my upbringing was more so spending time with my family, really being outside, being in nature, and really figuring out who I am.
So what's up? I guess has there been anything that you miss from growing up, or anything that you're glad you've learned along the way, or kind of shaken as
Yeah,
like being poor and now being maybe better off?
yeah. The health. You mentioned earlier that I am turning 51, and yeah, I'm grateful that I don't look my age, and that has a lot to do with my upbringing. My parents made us eat really well, like as far as like fruits and vegetables. If you
Mhm.
have background, I am at the airport, so, and I'm
No,
also
you're good.
sitting
You're
at the
good.
countertop. The airport is packed right now, but I grew up eating a lot of fruits and vegetables, and I still carry that today.
Mhm.
Um, I'm a pescatarian,
Mhm.
but I eat more so a ton of fruit, ton of vegetables every day, and that part I'm grateful for. That my parents really stuck to this Adventist diet as far as making sure that we maintain our health.
Mhm. Have you always been pescatarian, or what is pescatarian?
Pescatarian is I only eat fish. I've not always been pescatarian. But the older I get, the more I appreciate being a pescatarian. I am learning as I get older to just take care of my health. And I realized a lot of things that I crave, I really don't need. And
Mhm.
I started this journey right before COVID.
Mhm.
I was like 233 pounds.
Oh wow.
And yeah, and then I started running, exercising. I stopped eating after 6. And the stuff that I was eating before, I mean, when I lost weight, I realized I really didn't need it. So then I was like, you know what? Maybe I could just be a full-time pescatarian because I do
Yeah.
like fish. I'm from the Bahamas, so it's hard to lose that craving.
True, true. Maybe you don't have to salt it as much, or like do
Exactly.
curing. You can just cook it.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
Because even like what would you say, like fish with lime with it, like just simple seasoning is like you can still get the flavorfulness of it, but you don't have to like
Exactly.
beat it on there and just like cover it, coat it, like everything under, run it through the wash and all that.
Oh yeah. Oh, hallelujah for air fryers. So you get you get a you get a piece of salmon and throw it in the air fryer, just sprinkles a little seasoning on there, and squeeze a little lime on there. Oh man,
Mhm.
you're good to go.
Yeah, that that might be a gift for next year for myself. I'm thinking
You need to get one.
a friend had told me, like, yeah, you should really get an air fryer. It comes in handy. And I remember using the crock pot earlier this week. I think on Monday I put some black eyed peas in there
Oh,
and
nice.
some beef tips with
Oh,
I use coconut water as a stock because it called for, like, if you're gonna do a chicken recipe, use chicken stock, or with beef you use beef stock. And I was like,
yeah.
I don't know how well that's gonna work out, but I tried it and it came out good. And it was a hard, like, a gallon bag of black eyed peas with the green beans and other things in there. And I cut up some squash and threw that, and I was like, man, this feels
Oh, that
good.
sounds delicious. Yeah.
Yeah. And I took some with me and brought it back. So I've got to cook it down again just to make sure I kill any bacteria that's been lingering in there. But I've been trying to keep it on ice. But
Nice, nice.
I definitely relate to you on that part with the just speaking of growing up in a different area and then being able to um you lean on hang on, like being able to lean on your background, your upbringing to say, okay, healthy eating, healthy living is a big byproduct. Like you can do the exercise, but I think they say it's like the 80-20 rule. Like 80% of the results you get back from your health journey really comes into the foods you eat and not so much like the workouts you do, but the workout's still important to like slim everything down.
Can you hear me? It just says
Yeah.
that. Am I
Yeah.
unmuted?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay,
You're
good.
good. I just muted
Good.
you for a second.
Okay, cool.
But so from moving from Haiti to the States, like what was that transition like for you?
I've never been to Haiti, so my parents are from Haiti. So
Gotcha.
we were born in the Bahamas. Now the transition was from leaving the Bahamas to the US.
Mhm,
So I moved here when I was 15.
mhm,
I lived in Fort Lauderdale for like 2 years, and then my dad job transferred to Atlanta in 1989. So we
mhm.
moved in 87, and my dad job transferred from Miami, well, Fort Lauderdale to Atlanta in 89. So we've been in Atlanta ever since 1989.
Wow.
But it was a good transition. It was, I mean, America's, when you're foreign, America's a place that everyone wants to come to. So to live here is such a dream. And I just got my citizenship um, last year.
Mm.
So I am so excited to be an American.
Yeah. I guess what's that feeling like? Like, can you explain it to anyone that may be like Native American born and they may not understand like, okay, you're officially a
Oh,
citizen.
trust me, I can say the one thing that they will definitely understand. It's the worst thing that when you live in this country and you have to travel international.
Mhm,
So, and I'll give you an example. So my wife and I went to Paris in 2000
mhm,
during the Y2K. We thought it was the end of the world. So we landed in Paris. So because she's an American, she went through a line and it seemed like she went right through like within a minute.
mhm.
And they're like, hey, you're foreign. So you go over here to this other line. Man, the process, the paperwork,
Yeah.
the wait. So any foreigner knows that when you become a US citizen, that line becomes so much shorter. So we truly appreciate that.
That's what's up. And having experienced that process, it's like for me, luckily I became a citizen when I was 16 because my dad was getting a citizenship and I think I could be grandfathered in. So that process, like having gone international maybe once or twice, it's been it's definitely different where it's like, oh,
It's
American, like
different.
right this way.
Yeah, exactly. 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 Man, one
Nice.
time I was in Canada because of our passport.
Mhm,
I mean, whereas I could have gone through the line within 10 minutes, I was there for 2 hours.
mhm.
It's like, and this was after 9/11. So, I mean, I can understand, but just being foreign, it's annoying traveling international.
Yeah.
But now I'm an American, so it's much easier.
Nice. So I guess walk me a little bit through what it was like growing up in Atlanta and just growing up in Georgia for that fact through the 90s, because I guess I was born in 1990. So I didn't come to the States until 97, but actually being in my 30s now, it's seeing things much differently than growing up and just being like, okay, wow, this is kind of neat. And then yeah, what was your experience like?
I think back in the growing up in Atlanta, it was those days were like really cool because those were the days when um we had fun because we didn't have social media.
Mm,
So we didn't have any distraction with the Instagram, the Facebook. So a majority of our time was spent really hanging out. So you're playing basketball or you're on the running, you're on the track team.
mhm,
For me growing up, it was more so I was into fashion.
mm,
So I was back in the days we had U-Man. That might be a little too old for you. So we had U-Man and the clothing like Jordan was like, it was like, it was just cool. Like, so Atlanta back in the day was into, um, like you had a pair of Jordans,
Mhm.
so you had the ones, and then you had a pair of Jordache jeans, and you had a silk shirt and starter jackets. Oh man, it was just the coolest thing. Like if you wore those type of clothing, you were just the coolest kid in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And I grew up on the South Side, so being on the South Side, I near Greenbrier Mall, I really got a chance to really experience the flavor of Atlanta, like going from Greenbrier to West End,
Mhm.
and going to places like the beautiful restaurants, Crickets,
Mhm.
going to like um, hanging out at Greenbrier Mall. Like I really Atlanta felt. I've I've traveled a lot and
Mhm.
I've been a lot of places in my life, but Atlanta feels like for us,
Yeah.
it's us. Like it doesn't matter where you go, you will see us. So you're never intimidated or feel like someone is looking down at you or making you feel a certain type of way. So my experience in Atlanta has always been like, this is home. These are my people, and I'm
Yeah.
having a good time.
That's what's up. I, I think I can identify with some of what you're saying. The living in Atlanta for a few years, but then being either in North Georgia or South Georgia now, and then going back to Atlanta, I'm like, the driving isn't something I miss.
Right, right,
It's like
right.
outside of that, Atlanta is great, but just
Yeah, it's great. It's
some
great.
people
I
trying to
love it.
cut you off the road. I'm like, hold up now. You go
Yeah,
ahead. Like
exactly.
I'm trying to get from point A to point B. I'm not trying to die on the road.
Right, 80 miles per hour. That's the average speed limit.
Yeah. So so with like you're saying, like growing up with the flavor of Atlanta, like um being able were you able to experience something like the Olympics, like coming to Atlanta in the 96, or in like Jordan going through his reign and things like that, being older? Like for me, when I literally moved to the States, I wasn't aware of like why Michael Jordan was a big deal, or why Brett Favre at the time was the big deal. Like you could kind of like see news clippings, but we didn't really watch TV. So I wasn't aware of like, okay, this is like this person is the greatest of all time, and they're speaking of them in like such high regard. This is what the culture is like. This is what's cool. This is like the new thing. I was just trying to learn English and like go to school.
Right. And that's the thing. I mean, same for me because I speak three languages. So
Mm.
the cool thing about being in Atlanta, I mean, you said it's the culture.
Mm.
So you have the barbershops. Like, I mean, if you were in a barbershop and you didn't know about Jordan and something was wrong.
Mm.
So the flavor of Atlanta, like the places that we would go, like hanging out at the beautiful restaurant. So the beautiful restaurant is like a soulful restaurant.
Yeah.
Food is like really good. So if you haven't ever had Atlanta, I think it's still open. It's off of Cascade. I mean, you could go in there, James Brown in there, I think a ton of celebrities in there, and
Mm.
everyone that would walk in there would just be like family.
Mm.
When you live in Atlanta, I mean, we have this thing in Atlanta where we say like everyone is a celebrity, and because everyone is a celebrity, you're not really looking for, you know, a name dropper or a showstopper.
Yeah.
So it's just one big family, and
Mm.
growing up with that type of culture and experience where everyone is looking out for you, everyone is supporting your business, everyone is going to your restaurant, everyone is trying to help you to come up
Mhm.
has been such an experience for me. And that's why I'm still here. Atlanta's home, but it's not home because I live here. It's home because of the culture, the
Mm.
experience. It's us.
Yeah.
And we support each other. We love on each other. And I appreciate that about the city.
That's what's up. And man, I like that. And even before I get to how we met, it's with that being much of your experience like throughout Atlanta, and just being able to connect with different people. Like did you do a lot of traveling like outside of, like you came to the US from the Bahamas, spent a little bit of time in Florida, mostly stayed in Atlanta, but like did you go to the different parts of Atlanta, the north side, east side, west side, or like kind of broaden your travel bug throughout the state, or going back and forth to Haiti, or like what was that like for you?
Yeah, it was. So I'm I'm a very spontaneous person and I like to venture out. So yes, I've traveled throughout Atlanta.
Mm.
I've gone um Probably doing my marriage. So I got married really young. I was 22,
Mm,
and I spent the first 6 years of our marriage. So I got married in July back in 1995. The first
mhm,
6 years of our marriage, my wife and I decided like just traveled. So on the weekends, we would just hop in the car.
mhm.
We would drive around Atlanta or drive outside of Georgia. We would go up to New York or we would go up to DC.
Mm.
Or if we had time, we had no money, we'd fly to the West Coast and check out the West Coast. Um, or as things would get, once things got financially stable, we start traveling internationally. I've been to Paris, I've been to different parts of the world.
Mm.
So yes, it's been my ride has just been a really blessed ride. And I'm
That's
grateful.
awesome. That's awesome. The um, hang on. I'm gonna mute you again, Matt, and then I'll come back. But it's very cool to see that. I'm curious to know why you got married so young, because I guess that's kind of like common for most people that aren't maybe American or like present day. Like people are like, why would you get so why would you get married so young at 22? But then seeing that, okay, in getting married, you decided to go ahead and travel and say, okay, hey, we'll be weekend warriors, we'll drive, we'll fly, like we'll go actually experience life and take on this thing that we said, okay, we're joining up together, we're formalizing it, and then we're going to make the life that we want to live. It's not necessarily under compulsion of like, you have to be here to do this, you have to um hear all the have to's, but not the this is what we want to do, and we'll pair our needs with our wants and like go forward with that. Oh, I think you're still muted. Yeah, try to unmute again. There
There we
you go.
go. Can you hear me?
Yep, yep.
Yeah, and it's true what you just said. I mean, it's I did get married young, and it's no offense to the culture, the American culture, but growing up foreign, I mean, by the time you at a certain age and you come to this country, you know what you want, you
Mhm.
know your purpose here. You're a little more, you're a little, you mature about your purpose in life, and
Yeah.
so at that age of 22, I wasn't an average 22-year-old. I started working at the age of 15.
Mhm.
I had my own place by the time I'm like 19. So I knew what I wanted, and I knew once I met my wife that this is the person I wanted to be with. I prayed
Mhm.
about it. I asked God. She and I spent 2 years dating, and my parents approved of her. And once I got to that point in my life, I realized, okay, this person I want to be with, I have a job, I know the direction I want to go to, and this person is going to be the spiritual support that I need in order to get to where I'm trying to get. And you know, it's been a great journey, and I'm truly grateful for that.
That's awesome. And to your point, it's that it doesn't always need to take a long time, especially if you're the right person
Exactly.
and if you're in the right headspace, and
Yes.
you put two and two together. Better yet, go with it rather than drag something out for years and years, because now you can say you have 20 plus years of marriage rather than like, well, we dated for 6, 10 years and then we finally just got married and it's been like 5 years.
Right. Right.
But
Right.
even through that, I guess to your point, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, and like throughout the
No, it's not.
process it's like you still work through it, and
Yes.
you're still able to work through it. Like it's not an endpoint, so to speak, like getting married or being married or celebrating an anniversary or celebrating a birthday. It's a when I think of speaking with you, I think of this reflection of like in your youthfulness, um there's a sense of being present, and that, like you said earlier, it's really about the here and now, and you don't really
Yeah.
look at the history of the thing and being like, oh wow, like here we're just checking off the boxes like 5 years, 10 years, 20 years,
Right. Right.
I'm 5 years old, 10 years old, 15 years old, 50 years old, 150
Right.
years old. It's like we're doing life, and
Exactly.
there's no
And you have to.
limit on it. Yeah, can you speak about that a bit?
Yeah, you have to. I mean, that's the excellent point you brought up, and that's the way we live. We stop looking and saying, "Oh yeah, we've been married 28 years. Oh yeah, we had the 10-year mark. Oh yeah." It's like no, we just live for today,
Right.
and let's just make today great. Let's just enjoy today. Sorry, I'm distracted. My wife
No,
just
you're
walked
good.
past
You're
me,
good.
but because she's dancing in front of me. I love this lady, but like I said, it's true. Like even this moment, I mean, she's standing in front of me. She just went and got me some food, and she's just dancing. So we live for every moment, and I think that's the difference with relationships these days is that it's always a label. You know, it's whether it's financially,
Mm,
we're trying to buy a house, or we're trying to get the next fly ride, or we're trying to be like a neighbor who's been married 10 years, or we're trying to be like such and such couple because they look great and they travel and they vacation, and
right.
you miss the small those moments that makes your relationship special. I wrote a book, and one of the chapters that I wrote is that marriage is like a fingerprint,
Mm,
and that goes for any relationship. That even goes for your personal life. If you focus and spend your time enjoying the fact that you woke up this morning, you got breath in your body, and you're able to just do things, enjoy those moments. And I think what's distracting for us as human beings is social media. We spend a majority of our time, wanting to be like something that we're looking at, and the expectation is not real.
mm,
So if you start focusing on what you have
mhm.
and enjoying the little that you have, you realize at the end of the day, it's bigger than anything that you can imagine. You'll really appreciate it, and that's how I think that's the lesson in my marriage that I've learned throughout the years. It's just enjoy one day at a time, and
Yeah.
just enjoy every moment, and just pay attention to the details, and you'll be okay.
Yeah. I think that's a great lesson. And to your point, it's that being able to recognize where you currently sit, and taking away from like the social media, and just knowing when to shut off certain things. Because
Correct.
to your point, I want to touch on your book a little bit more, but when you mentioned it, it made me think of another book title I'd heard of, and I think it was called The Coddling of the American Mind.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
it's the it's like this thing of we're becoming more childlike in the wrong way, to where we're not of age in things that we should be of age in, and it's becoming okay to be more like childish essentially. It's
Yeah.
like you can't
Exactly.
you can't be a grown 25-year-old or a 30 something year old talking about like, oh, 30 is the new 15. It's
Exactly. Exactly.
like
It's
that's not
not.
okay.
It's
That's
not
not
okay. Right.
right. It's like we're not having more, like, people are living longer, but I guess everyone may be worried about saving the planet, where it's like we can't all exist in our own little box looking at our little screens and forgetting that, okay, it takes at least two to do life. And then it's even better where you have a culture you can be proud of, and you have conversations you can exchange with people because you
Right.
you treat yourself better. And I think
Right.
that's a good point.
That's excellent. I mean, it is, and that's where we are in life. I mean, we have to just live for who we are and
Yeah.
where we are, and not what's happening in our world right now,
Mm,
and trying to with this, especially with this new technology, the AI, and like you said, the if you're 30, or if you're 40, it's the new 30s, or if you're
mm.
30, it's the new 20s. No, you're 30. Act like a 30-year-old. Like you're
Right.
40. Act like
Right.
a 40-year-old. So yeah, it's that part.
Yeah. It's like no more passes. Like we got to
Yeah,
grow
no
up.
more passes. Like me, I'm 50. So
Yeah.
I had to come to the reality. These are the things that come with a 50-year-old. I'm blind. So it's not the new 40s. No, I'm 50 and I can't
Yeah.
see.
But you're doing, like you're saying before, you're doing something to mitigate and to like take care of what you need to take care of, but you're not trying
Correct.
to like go out, try out for the all-star team, or like
Exactly.
go run
Exactly.
50 yard sprints and things like that.
Exactly. At 50 years old, right?
Gotcha. But you mentioned your book before. Can you share the title and what kind of inspired you to write it?
Um, Charles, constant tribulation life.
Mm,
I was going, wife and I were going through a lot in Maryland. Marriage is not easy. Um, it's not for everyone. Um, you really, um, you have to be true to yourself to be able to understand marriage. Marriage is one of the hardest challenges in life. Um, I s- there's a saying that if you can live in New York, that you can live anywhere.
mm,
Well, if you can maintain your marriage, then you can survive anything
mm,
because it will challenge you on all aspects of your life. But for me, it's a lesson that it really defines a, the relationship that you have with God.
mm.
Because if you truly believe in marriage and understand it, and you understand your relationship with God, and you put them hand in hand, then you will be successful in it. And you know that every day is a challenge. So, um, the book came out of those challenges of marriage, trying to figure out yourself. So, in year 5 and 10 are different. So I'm maturing. I'm not the same as I was at 25 years old. So now I'm like 30, and then I'm 35. I'm a different man.
Mm.
I'm acting my age, but in those growth process, you change as even though you're married, you're still individuals. And in those areas, there are challenges you
Yeah.
face, whether it's financial, whether it's sexually, whether it's trying to define or figure out who you are career wise.
Mm,
You still in marriage, you're still facing those same challenges that you would face if you were single.
right.
But it's how you navigate to get to that the result that you're trying to get to. And writing the book was more of not a gratefulness, but a blueprint to help someone at that point. I felt that I needed to share, or we felt that we needed to share our experience with other married couples, or anyone that's considering marriage, to say, okay, when you get to where we are, here
Mm,
are some of the steps or some tools that you can try that actually helped us.
gotcha.
And that was the purpose of the book.
I like that. So you're actually
Thank-
telling some people of the here's what I wasn't told, and instead of
yes.
like, oh, you'll be all right,
Yeah.
just go
Yeah.
on,
Yeah.
sign up. And
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah. This
why didn't you tell me
exactly.
this? Oh, well,
Exactly. But here's what you do when you get to this point. Like,
right.
like, I'm just trying to help you out. Like, it's not as bad. You can navigate through this, but here's some tools. Here's some steps.
Gotcha. That's what's up. And I guess kind of pivoting from that to the career path that you're in now, like how did you have using your eye for fashion and being now in interior design, like how did you get to that point from like how you grew up and just moving about and seeing the world in a different way?
Life, life, life throws curveballs at you, and it's when I'm growing up, I always wanted to be a professional swimmer.
Mm,
I am a great swimmer.
mm,
They used to call me fish when I was in the Bahamas. But um, when I moved to Atlanta, I started off when I was like maybe 18. I was a server, and went through college, ended up with 2 masters, but I worked for General Electric as an engineer. And you just get a job
yeah.
just because, I mean, it was a temp job, it was a contract job, and
Mhm.
I got hired through the company as a contractor.
Okay.
And so the title was great, salary was great,
Mm,
and that was my job.
yeah.
It had nothing to do with my degree, but it was my job.
Gotcha.
And it paid the bills and put food on the table. So I did that for a long time, and I went up the ladder in GE,
Mm,
and then during the recession 2008, I got laid off.
mm,
And once I got laid off, it changed. When you get laid off, I mean, when a company lets you go, it changes everything. Like you're either gonna sink or you're gonna swim.
mm,
And I was just tired of the corporate lifestyle where you come in one day and someone has this power authority to say you're fired, or today's your last day.
yeah.
Like I just want to determine like that's like, but My wife at the time had the interior design company, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna invest my time into this company and just grow it, and that's where we are right now.
Nice. So all the way from 2008 to 2023.
Yes,
Yeah, that's
not
awesome.
an
And
easy journey, but
no,
God is good.
and especially doing it in the market of like the crash, the recession, housing markets going down, but you guys joined together and said, "Hey, we got something here."
Yeah, we started off at $99 organized. It's what $99 organization per room, and now we do commercial and residential properties.
Wow.
Like we build from ground up. We like that is God is good.
Yeah. It's like I guess it almost speaks to like you're getting married what would be 7 years earlier and just kind of going through the progression of like we know what we've got, we know what we want, and we're going to go forward with this. It's not a whole
Yeah,
lot of like deliberation, like do I look at this option, do I pick out this cloth, or like is this going to be good for Monday, Tuesday, Friday, is this going to be good for Tuesday, Thursday? Like there's not a whole lot of like you're not confusing yourself with like more stuff. It's almost like usually when I think of like having options can be a bad thing. If it's not one or two or one, two or three, it's like after that,
right.
it's too much to deal with.
Yeah, and I tell people that all the time. What you just said, man. It's the way life is. It's God has a purpose and a plan for everyone, and we miss out because we may get if your plan or your purpose like to get to that end result is like 15 years,
Mhm,
and we get to like year nine and like oh my goodness, I can't do this anymore. I'm stressed,
mhm,
and then you get to like year 12, and you're like oh I am just done. But you don't realize that it gets better. It's like what you said. Like you can look back at your when you're a teen and
mhm,
where you are, and you're stronger and you're better and you're wiser. And it's the same with marriage, man. Marriage has. I always think about marriage. Like I used to own a Porsche Boxster,
mhm,
and I remember my wife and I would take it on the road. And if you were driving this car, like this around, you took it out like on the highway, and you were doing like average speed in Atlanta is like 80. If you're doing 80 in this Porsche, I mean, yeah, it's a nice ride, but like when you get on the open highway
mhm.
and that puppy drops to like 120, the Porsche would drop
Ooh,
and you would get this exhilarating ride. And marriage is the same way. Like year five is great, but a lot of people will get a divorce that they quit like year 12, they quit at 15, 17.
mhm.
And you realize, man, marriage has so many levels to it. And I'm telling you, every level gets better and better. That's why it's so challenging. It's not for everyone.
Right. I guess
Because
what, go ahead, my bad.
you just a lot of people are not ready for the challenge, but I'm telling you, there's so many levels to it, and it gets better and better and better. It's the same thing your relationship with Christ.
Mhm,
You look at it from the time you get baptized to where you are, in every level, in every stage with God, it gets better and better and better.
mhm,
And it's when you quit. And the reason why we quit is because, we start looking at ourselves in the mirror. We get cocky. We start feeling ourselves a bit. And that's the
mhm.
same thing with marriage. You start feeling yourself. And the reason why you start feeling yourself is because of social media. You get distracted.
Yeah.
But if you stay the course, like I tell my wife this all the time, is that this journey when you have to be a distant runner. You know that old story like the turtle in the hare? You
Mhm,
have to be that turtle. And you have to know that there is a finish line, but you have to take your time and you know that you just keep moving, keep moving. It gets better and better and better. And even when you get to the finish line, because it's so good,
mhm.
you want to go back the second time.
That's
So
what's up. I think
yeah,
that's a beautiful correlation between faith, career, marriage, where it's that if you could point to one thing, what would you say? I think you already said it, but what would you say is something that's misunderstood or maybe missed, whether it's in the excitement of like, okay, hey, I'm a new believer, I'm saved, or hey, we're in the honeymoon phase, this is great, like no challenges yet, or I've got this new job, it's paying the bills and nothing's on the horizon, like until it shows up, oh, you're fired, or hey, I'm serving you divorce papers, or hey, do you really believe in God? Like, what does it mean that you like, who is God? Like, people start asking, like, trying to poke stories and poke holes into your story to be like, are you really what you're about? Like, what's something that someone may be missing or overlooking when they're seeing the distractions that are taking them off their square to say, hey, like, you have reason to choose this and there's something noble in this. Maybe you have to discover it or like step back and not stay stuck or think that like where you're at is like the end all be all. You're never going to get better or get away from where you're currently at. It's like it might feel like hell right now, but just you get past today, you get through this moment and something changes.
It does. And that's, the sweet thing about that is that you as the person that's trying to get to that goal, you will not feel or see it. And it's crazy is that I told you I used to weigh 233 pounds. And before COVID, I decided to start running.
Mm.
Oh, it's almost time checking. Okay, 1 second.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I started running, I was running. So I would come home and I made up my mind that I was going to do a 30-day run. And I started running. And then I cut out like eating after 6. It's like, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to get my health better. But in all honesty, like 2 weeks into it,
Mhm.
I was like, on the scale when I started, like 233. And 2 weeks later, I was like, why am I at 240?
Mm.
And then 3 weeks into it, I'm like, why am I still at 230? Like, so I didn't think I was making any progress.
Mhm.
But what was happening is that my family would look at me and they're like, yo, Jeff, you're losing weight. I couldn't see the result. And a lot of times and the reason being is we are judging ourselves based on what we're looking at on the outside. So I was comparing myself to images that I was seeing on social media or other, male friends, or I'm like, these dudes are cut. Like, why is it taking me, longer to be just like you're asking
Yeah.
you're physically fit. I'm like,
Well,
why is it take? And it wasn't until 4 months into running,
Mhm.
one day I was actually at my sister's house. I was doing a project for her, and my niece walked in. She's like, Jeff, you're really skinny. And I was like, I am. And I looked in the mirror and I realized I was beyond my goals.
Mm.
I had lost all the weight and some, and I was looking. So what I'm saying is that we put this pressure on ourselves, whether we're in a marriage, in our career, and everything. You just have to keep moving. I don't care. It's like a workout. Like when you start working out, you go to the gym. Your first day, man, you are sore. You're like, I'm not going back.
Mm.
5 days into it, you're like, man, I don't see any changes. Like, why am I not getting ripped? Keep going. If you keep moving, eventually you will get there. And to the point where my wife's looking at me, she's like, you
Yeah.
need
Yeah.
to just go.
I'm getting you out of here with this one.
Yes,
Okay.
she's good. But I say this is the last point.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I always use this testimony about my wife when she started SCAD, and she was like, they told her she had to start over because she couldn't transfer classes. She's like, man, I am not doing 4 years of starting over. Long story short, she ended up starting over, and when she was like, man, it's taking forever to graduate, and why is it that it's like I'm like, what is happening? And she went to see an advisor. He was like, Javon, you are beyond done with your 4 years. You're actually into your master's program. He was like, what? He was like, I've completed all these classes already. Yep. The years have gone by. Time has gone by. She didn't realize that she was having such a good time in the experience that she had already graduated. So my point that I'm saying is that enjoy every moment. Live your life to the fullest. Enjoy. She's killing me.
Yeah.
She's looking
Yeah.
at me. I'm gonna get in trouble. This is why I stay married
Right.
for
Right.
25 years. Yes.
No, you're good. You're good. Let people know where they can find you, online
You
or
can find me.
offline.
You can find me anywhere. I mean, just type in my last name, LaDonis, LaDonis. I'm on all platforms. And my book is out. If you type in my last name, it'll put up my book as well. But we have a company called LaDonis Interior Design. Once you pull that up, it'll pull up everything about me. And you can reach out to me. I'm very supportive. I'm open. You have any questions about marriage? anything about our finances, anything. I mean, I don't mind sharing. And I believe our lives are a service to others. And that's the reason why we're born. We're born for a service and a testimony. We have to share and tell others about our past. So if we hit a pitfall, if we hit a success, whatever it is, we should share it and help others to get to that level. And that's where I am in my life right now.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Jeff, and thank you for your
And
wife
you're
for
welcome.
the patience.
Yes.
All right. Until next time.
All right. Bye.
Bye.